Greetings. I'm Justin of the Justin Zone. Today I'm doing very special and different. I call it Justin Zone's Wacky Weird Theater. I will be the host of this, just myself. Now what's different about this is I find the movies that you might never have heard of, nor have you might even know if they even existed. You know, I mean, if you also know of a movie that you'd like me to do for this show, feel free to ask. You know, but this is not, it has nothing, it has to do with the Justin Zone, but it doesn't. You know, it's its own little thing. I mean, you know, as I said, yes, movies that have you never... Now, the movie I'm about to show you now, was shown in the preview, or, you know, as a little short intro I did, was The Toxic Avenger. And The Toxic Avenger is a movie done by Troma Films. Now, Troma Films, if you don't know, is a company that is well known for doing B movies. B movies are low budget films, and you know that's hence the term, you know, B movie. Troma Films is very known for all their B movies. A lot of their movies some of the movies have appeared in actual theaters, some haven't. You know, but let's get to the nitty gritty. Lloyd Kaufman, who is, you know, part of Troma Films, or is kind of like the godfather of Troma Films. He has done mostly a good majority of these films. I myself have enjoyed many of Troma's films in some ways, you know. But the movie I'm about to submit to you is a story about an unlikely superhero. And it's kind of interesting is like you have the geeky guy who gets turned into super. Now the scene I'm about to show you is where the nerd hence turns into the superhero. You know, he falls into toxic waste, and you know it varies on, like, you wonder what the heck just happened. What am I watching? Well, this is the Toxic Avenger. As the caption goes, he is a superhuman hero from New Jersey. It's kind of funny to think about it. New Jersey is, like, you know, kind of considered a very weird, like, a lot of people like making jokes about New Jersey. That's why you have, you know, your unlikely superhero from New Jersey. The Toxic Avenger is a cult phenomenon. It didn't get a lot of hype until, like, when it was shown as a midnight movie. Then all this fandom started over it. It was like Toxic Avenger is like Troma Films' spokesman. You know, and what's interesting about also is, you know, it had spawned 3 other sequels, its own cartoon show. There's also a couple video games based off that cartoon show. You know, and I'm sure comic books and other stuff. But it's just so interesting how this little film here launched so much. You know, and yes, as you see, there's extreme violence in this. This movie's not for everybody, and I highly recommend that little children would not view this. You know, but part of the Justin Zone's Weird Theater is I do not tell you whether you should watch this movie or should you not. This is a very good movie. I for one, have enjoyed hours and hours of just watching this movie, you know. But let's take a moment that, you know, it's like, here's interesting. This is where he starts to, you know, the mom, and you got all this, you know, stuff like this happen. And this is the first time I've actually shown clips for it. But I'm just trying to give you the preview of what to expect in this movie. You know, it's interesting is, like, the Toxic Avenger himself, he becomes this, you know, it's like, as you can see, he's growing into this superhero. But, you know, it's like, this is really a great movie to watch. If you've never seen The Toxic Avenger, I highly recommend it. Now, this is interesting. Now, I picked this as my first film for the Weird Theater because it's not as well known as it should be, but it's there. It's a film that should be viewed. Now, is it out on Blu-ray? I don't know about that. but has made a cult like you can find an actual Toxic Avenger set. Now, for those who don't know about this movie, please watch it. I highly recommend it. Will I recommend all the films for the weird theater? No, but it doesn't hurt that this movie right here is good. Now, me myself, I would never turn. Highly unlikely that you're going to turn into a superhero just because you fall into toxic ways. But I just think it's interesting how this is a low budget film, but look at all these cool effects and that are just being shown. This is Lloyd Kaufman's. Like, I was thinking this is his baby. Like, this right here is his baby. This is the movie that just kind of launched a cult phenomenon that, of all kinds of different stuff. So, I hope you enjoyed my little viewing of Justin Zone's Weird Theater. Now, granted, this might not be as great as the Justin Zone, but I hope you enjoy me just talking about movies. So, I hope you enjoyed this. Adios, muchachos.